some of the other wireless systems have other bells and whistles that do need babysitting. So yeah, with STRYDE, we're predictable, one that isn't shared enough in the Western world, but all of these people who are anti-oil and gas have not seen a woman spend 8 or 10 hours a day collecting wood to cook, literally wood to cook in a mud shack. I think I'm looking fairly proper and presentable there. And after an evening with Amy and Sam, we do hide the nodes, and as you know, they're very easy to disguise, but it's really hard to beat 5 or 6 year old kids in Africa. They will find those little guys.
I'm delighted to be talking to Bill Mooney today in the first of our video series. Thank you for joining us, Bill.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Why don't we open? Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and Polaris?
Well, thanks, Mike. We've been at it quite a while in this seismic game. I first met my partner in 1984 in Canada. Believe it or not, we were scratching our heads on how to do square mile 3Ds with cable systems back then. Then we're the part of the big evolution up into 120 and 240 trace, and so we've been at it quite a while. But Polaris is Canada's oldest seismic company. Joe Little and I started that in 1996. We've done over 1,200 projects, which is hard to believe, including 700 3Ds. We went purely international in 2009 and have contributed to a lot of world-class discoveries over that time, so it's been very exciting. Our strength lies in we've got a fantastic team of individuals that have been with us for a long time, and we've been successful in having new members join our teams from the areas where we're working. So yeah, we have a really strong focus on client success. That, of course, is key to our survival. If our clients succeed in their exploits, then they're going to want to come back with the same team. And we're also very, very strongly focused on ensuring we bring benefits to the local communities where we are. And that's a massive part of our operational success. If you have the local communities behind you, supporting you, wanting you to succeed, then of course, project goes very well. So I'm very proud of the fact we're welcome back everywhere we've worked.
That's really good to hear. And I was going to ask you actually about some of the projects and communities you work with. What does it mean to some of the populations where you're working? What difference can Seismic by Polaris make to a local population in, we can't talk about future projects, but say in Africa for some of the projects you've done in the past, what kind of impact does that have on the local community?
Well, we've had some really significant projects where there's been multiple wins. First off, we have at least 85% local content. We have gone into areas with small villages where we will source everything from that village. We have one situation where we are 4 hours by hardtop from a major city, and we could easily have a 5-ton truck come out a couple of times a week with everything. But we went into the local village, which would look very, very third world to most Westerners. We started by visiting all the food suppliers. We audited kitchens and stoves in the bakers and in the people preparing food. We improved those kitchens. We made sure the fridges are actually freezing the food for transport out to our fly camps, etc. Trained everybody in food handling. So we elevated the village so they could supply us over the next several months. We had to ensure that we shared that opportunity with everybody in the village. If there's 10 fruit vendors, you can't give it all to one big winner. We start there, and then of course training and everything for the specific roles on the crew, PPE, good food, training, all that other stuff. We have one disadvantage in that we're only there for a certain period of time, and then we may be gone forever. But what we do is leave everybody with a laminated certificate of what they've learned with Polaris and the courses and programs, safety programs, etc., that they've been successful in being taught. So they've got a little bit of a resume to share. Outside that, we like to do community projects. We're looking at establishing a fish farm in one area coming up, which will be really exciting. We've built roads. We've set up libraries. We do a lot of school stuff. Maps is a personal favorite. We try and look for what we can do while we're there. And you know, it's very easy if you take the time to have a lot of impact on the community.
I guess longer term as well, if your end clients are successful, you're potentially bringing energy to a country or additional energy, bringing future jobs, etc. as well. So it can have a real long-term impact if things go well.
You know, Mike, that is a huge selling point for our industry and what we're doing, and one that isn't shared enough in the Western world. But all of these people who are anti-oil and gas, I have not seen a woman spend 8 or 10 hours a day collecting wood to cook, literally wood to cook in a mud shack. You know, these people have been walking for centuries, you know, trying to collect dead wood. And we've gotten to be good friends with so many chiefs and people over there. And I asked one chief what it would mean if everybody in his villages had a tank of propane, you know, just like all of us having our, and he couldn't answer. He just went, "Oh my God, Bill, I can't imagine if everybody in our villages had that small little bit of energy to help support their lifestyle." And I think it's absolutely criminal that we're not doing everything we can to try and make sure that that's being there. So we're passionate about helping to end energy poverty in the areas we're at.
Very important. Thank you. Um, so I know, and now everyone listening knows, so you've deployed STRYDE in Africa and more recently in Pakistan. I guess what attracted you to STRYDE? So there's a range of technologies out there. What made you and the team go, I'm gonna give STRYDE a go?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we all came from that, well, if you're old enough, we all came from that cabled wire world that was, you know, 25 pounds a receiver, as crazy as that sounds. You know, 1,000 channels, 5,000 pounds a year, you're automatically looking at, you know, 6 or 7 trucks and a whole load of people to deploy and pick that stuff up. He looked at the wireless world when it first came out, and a lot of the wireless systems had other systems you had to maintain. Some of them maintained status through an antenna system or some form of communication. Some of the wireless systems had multiple pieces, so it wasn't just a single piece. You know, you had a geophone connecting to a battery, connecting to a box. But we kind of watched that wireless world evolve. There were clear advantages in the weight and deployment and all that other stuff, but I guess we just never took a real bite until we were introduced to STRYDE, and we were actually introduced by a client who wanted us to have a look, and we kind of rolled our eyes and went, "Oh my goodness, another wireless choice to look at." But then we found out BP was behind it, and of course that alone is pretty compelling to make you want to investigate further. And one thing led to another, and here we are. We're obviously very happy STRYDE users now.
Good to hear. Thank you. You touched on some of the challenges with some of the older kit, the cable kits, so having to have large teams, and I imagine hard to lay out in, say, areas with lots of vegetation. What were the other kind of challenges you faced back in the day, if I can put it that way, with some of the older kit?
Man, you know, we've worked everything from Arctic to just Western Canada, 30, 40 below, you know, 4 to 5 feet of snow falling in the winter. Heli-portable. We used to run, you know, heli-portable crews in the Front Range of the Rockies, 8 helicopters, mountain climbers, you know, really, really extreme temperatures, conditions, not a lot of daylight hours. You know, and then on top of that, you have kilometers and kilometers of wires and cables. And so, you know, getting the spread laid out was one thing. Now you have that spread that has to remain healthy. And after all that work and all those challenges, you can have one chew through a cable from a cow or a caribou or whatever, and you're down. I mean, you're down. The whole operation is sitting, waiting. So there was a lot of challenges with cable systems. And then on top of that, as I say, just the deployment and weight. We used to have, you know, 60 or 70 people, and with a plan to try and move 500 channels a day. That's 500 up and 500 down. And, you know, that's how great the challenges were with cables compared to nodes.
So now you've used STRYDE and you've used the Nimble system. What's it changed for your business? What impact has it had now you've used it in the field?
Well, there's all the obvious advantages I've talked about that wireless brings. You know, getting back to our focus for client success, we want to do everything we can to get the best possible data for the clients. And when you're restricted by geometry or the ability to lay out channels with certain spacings and certain design constraints and things like that, you don't have every option available. And STRYDE is about as close as I can think of as to making every possible option available to satisfy the ideal designs and thoughts of our geophysicists and everything about trying to get the best data. So we're able to hit the field running and, basically ensure we can satisfy our goal of getting the best possible data. So that's the big win with STRYDE. Aside from that, there's a lot of obvious operational advantages with the size and weight and deployment requirements. It's a simple system. It's a I've at times called it a dumb system, and I don't mean to make that a negative comment. It's very smart in its ability to do things, but it's very, very dumb, and that nothing can go wrong with it. So
It's good to hear. Thank you. And does it, obviously you've outlined some, but does it change how you work in the field, how the teams work?
well, it has. I mean, it's we can take a few chances because things are predictable. Everything in our business is associated with risk, and everything is seconds, and there's hundreds and thousands of repetitions, and they all take a certain amount of time to execute. And when you interrupt that with delays, with troubleshooting, with troubleshooting alone, I mean, we used to with cable systems, you had to allow for sometimes 2 or 3 hours a day to troubleshoot your spread to make sure you were operational, up and running, and that risk translates into costs. So and obviously all the wire systems share that benefit, I guess. But again, some of the other wireless systems have other bells and whistles that do need babysitting, do need a bit of time. So yeah, with STRYDE, we're predictable. We can basically design our day and be very confident that we can execute.
Any surprising or funny moments from the field while you've been using STRYDE that you're able to share?
I asked our guys for a few funny stories. They had a hard time thinking of funny ones, but they came up with a couple of interesting ones. We were being compared to another wireless nodes. And I certainly tip my hat to all of the technical people behind these various nodal systems. They all have their benefits. STRYDE was being compared as a substandard node compared to one particular brand. And we did a test. We had the two side by side in the field, and I'm happy to say there was no clear winner, but there was at least a tie on STRYDE's part, and our guys were very happy, saying we have absolutely no second thoughts about STRYDE. They were very happy with its performance. So that was a very interesting one for us. We do hide the nodes, and as you know, they're very easy to disguise, but it's really hard to beat 5 or 6 year old kids in Africa. They will find those little guys, and then they go to great lengths to try and break them open, and then they'll decorate their toys. They'll make little trucks out of wire that they find, and then they'll use the ingredients of the node to kind of decorate their cars and things. So we found some quite creative little toys being built with a few elements of the STRYDE nodes. But
Interesting. So another question: how do you find the STRYDE team to work with, Bill?
well, let me demonstrate that with a few photos. This is a photo of me going into the first conference before I met STRYDE. I think I'm looking fairly proper and presentable there.
Looking very good, looking sharp.
And after an evening with Amy and Sam, that's what I woke up to the next day, trying to deal with that reality. I kind of healed up, and then I ended up going to Houston, and I met with Mr. Mike Popham for the first time, and that was the result after my time with Mike.
I vaguely remember that night.
And then if you need some actual STRYDE proof, there's Cameron Grant kind of acknowledging to headquarters, I did it again to Mooney. So anyway, the STRYDE people, well, what can I say about STRYDE? That's been the really big win for us. You guys have been absolutely fantastic at every turn. Everything we've done with you guys has just been a real pleasure and super easy to deal with. The real crunch, of course, is in the field when you're absolutely pulling your hair out and In the early days when we first started implementing Stride wasn't made to work with absolutely every system on the planet yet. And we found that we had some challenges on a project we started for a client. And of course, program starts are, the client's uptight. Is this all going to work? We got millions on the line. We've got timelines and everything else. And we had a few issues integrating systems. Stride rode to the battle immediately. We had people on the ground. We had people working 24 hours a day, and we got everything resolved and put together. So it's been great. Anything that we've wanted to consider with the system or opportunities or things like that, we've had really, really relationships with you guys. So I thank your team. And now that you're employee owned, that that whole advantage to Stride's only going to improve in our minds. So we do have a lot of really cool stuff coming up. I'm looking forward to working with your team on. We have Polaris, but we have our affiliated company, Earthscan Technologies, where we're deploying a lot of non-acoustic tools. We're into drones and magnetics and ground penetrating radar and things like that. So we're working closer to the surface, and with the Stride advantages, we're able to deploy that on shallower and shallower targets. And as we all know in our world, that shallow imaging is a real challenge. So we're very keen to look at some of those new applications with you guys. And you guys have been supportive every step of the way. So it's a real pleasure working with you guys.
Thank you, Bill. I couldn't have scripted that better if you'd asked me. But I know the team love working with Polaris as well. So, and we love meeting up in person, even if our head hurts the next day sometimes. So you can't touch on it there, but what's next for Polaris? What's coming up that you're allowed to talk about? I recognise a lot of things you can't, but how do you see the future unveiling itself?
Yeah, I touched a little bit on that, just the applications in the mining world and things like that. So we're going to be looking forward to integrating our shallow acoustic data with some of the other data sets that we're generating. And we have some large projects happening right now in that mineral world, which is very exciting. We have a few new areas we're looking at that I can't speak too much about. Our Pakistan operation is very exciting. We've got a really talented team who are better equipped to deal in that setting, that geographic and cultural setting. They're wonderful people, and so far that's going really well. We're not looking for global domination by any means, but we're very happy in the areas where we're working now, and just want to make sure that we can satisfy this quest for trying to get energy into some special parts of the world. So.
Yeah, it's definitely still needed. So one last question, and then I'll hand it over to you if there's anything else you want to cover. Overall, how would you sum up the impact that Stride's had on Polaris's business?
Yeah, well, it's given us every option. So, we're not really constricted what we can do to try and help clients and what we can do to save the environment. I didn't touch on that earlier, but it's another big one for us is, we took the first low impact seismic crew into Africa. We love projects where we're, a year later, you can't see where we've been. So I guess to summarize it gives us every option to satisfy getting the best possible product for our clients. So that would be it, Mike.
That's cool. Thank you. That's me done for questions. Anything else you wanted to cover, Bill?
Not really. I just, again, would like to thank the Stride team. We're working with Mehdi now in Africa. He's a wonderful guy. He's got a fantastic history to him. He's been all over the planet and is super experienced, like a lot of your people. I know the new lens opportunity is very, very interesting, where we can try and fast track processing. We're certainly making sure that's on offer to our clients. Not all clients, some clients have their own processing. But again, yeah, it's certainly far from a here's the product, see you later, good luck approach with Strides. We have a continual attempt on both parties to try and keep improving and delivering and adding on. So that's a common approach by Stride and the Polaris people. Has just been a real great win for us. So.
Yeah, it's really valuable when you phone up and say, can you tweak this or can you improve that? It helps us. So it helps us help you, but it helps us help everyone. So please keep those coming.
Yeah. So thank your team on behalf of all of our guys. I know they would want to, everybody on the Polaris team would want to send their regards. And I'm not sure my next time through the UK or the next time where we'll meet one another, Mike, but there is a overdue golf game somewhere down the road once my knee gets back.
I've got to get my swing in shape as well. So let's make that happen soon, but that'd be very cool. Let's do it. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for your time, Bill. It's been lovely talking as always, and really appreciate you being open and candid about Stride and telling us about the cool projects you're doing some really exciting, important work. So thank you very much.